Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm just going to be playing with the new Galactic Visitor palette from Singe Beauty. This is what it looks like inside. This is seriously such a stunning palette, and after playing with it, this is my fourth look. This will actually be a short if you are curious, but this palette, seriously, so gorgeous. Absolutely love it. So yes, if you want to see all the looks in my review, definitely keep on watching. For our first look, I really just want to do something kind of smoky. So I'm just taking some of the Milani eyeshadow primer, and I'm just going to apply a thin layer and taking some under the eye as well. I always tend to have an issue with like creasing, or I guess I'd more say my eyes kind of tear up throughout the day. So I'm hoping by using a base that will really help. So I'm going to take NYX Jumbo Pencil. This is the shade, I think it's Black Bean. Now, this is a really like greasy product, but like I said, I'm really just hoping that even if my eyes do water, that it'll still have this residual base underneath, so it won't be super noticeable. Now, I feel like my eyes are a bit more like close set together, so I'm not going to take the pencil like super in. And then one thing I will do as well is kind of just look up, and you can see a bit of transfer, and that's where I'm going to take my pencil up to. Now, I'm not like taking this like crazy, as in I'm not like really filling in to make sure it's like super black. I'm kind of just tapping because again, this is literally just going to be a base. And I'll take this relatively dense brush. This one's by Eco Tools, and I'm just going to tap around the edges to help it to soften. And I'm just starting off with a pretty flat kind of brush, and I'm going to dip into our deep blue shade Infinity. And I'm just going to start tapping that all over my eyelid. Something as well you can do is take the tip of your brush and kind of feel where your eye naturally creases. And just kind of tap in there. And then for added depth, I am going to take the shade Eclipse, which is the black. Same brush, and I'm just going to tap that all over the eyelid. I'm not taking it as high as we did that blue because I still want that border of the blue. I'm also just going to take a pencil brush and a little bit more of that black. And I'm going to take a little bit under the lash line. I think I'm just going to stop right on this outside edge of the color part of my eye, just because I don't want it to be like too dark. Taking just a mid-tone kind of fluffy brush in the shade Orbit, and I'm just going to start buffing that around the edges. Same brush, I'm going to run that shade all the way underneath our lower lash line. I'm going to take a clean fluffy brush just to go around everything, just to soften it out. Then comes the fun part, our shimmer. I'm going to take the shade Encounter, and something I find really fun with doing like a smoky eyelid like this, because a lot of these are kind of toppery shades, like you can see it has a bit of a blue, but I feel like by tapping it on top of a really dark base, really makes that shade shine. But I think that's pretty much it. I think it's super simple. Let me do some mascara, put on a lip product, all that stuff, and we'll be back to finish this look. Okay, so we're back. I wanted to come back just to tell you, I went ahead and did, you can probably tell, re-intensify kind of a lot more. I realize now I probably should have done that from the get-go, but all I did was just take our black shade and just really focused on the inner part of the eye, and then also kind of on this wing shape just to really build up the depth that I want. One part that I did leave that you can see on this side that I figure we could do together is I did add another one of the shimmers that I actually have grown to really love. So it is this shade Beam that I feel like in the pan, it's like, again, it's really hard to see, but in use, it's this really beautiful like greeny shade. So I'm just going to take a flat brush and I'm just going to add some into the inner part of the eye. So one thing I would say that is really nice is these shimmers pick up really nicely with a brush, because I know not everybody likes to use their finger, but like, can you see that? This is giving me like the vibe that I wanted. I feel like a gothic like amazingness, and I'm obsessed with this look. I am so excited to create some more really kind of murky, dark looks with this. This is just really pretty. But I really like this look. It's really pretty. I'm really loving this palette. I cannot wait to keep creating. So let's move on to our other look. Alright, we are back for look number 2. We'll just say look number 2. As you see, I kind of did a little more neutrally look. We're just gonna like create it on this side because like I'm not loving it on this side, but like I know where we're gonna go with it, so I think it's gonna turn out like really good. I'm also gonna hope and my camera is not freaking out, because you probably already saw it. It was like freaking out in the first one, and I don't know what is happening. Okay, so eye is already primed with the Milani eyeshadow primer like I did in our previous look. So I'm just gonna use this brush by Blend Bunny. What is this? The B1 brush. And we're gonna take the shade Cowgirl, which I believe is like a brown. And I'm just gonna kind of do my normal, stamping this shade where the colored part of my eye, basically stamp it up and stop where that colored part of the eye is. Gosh, I keep dripping into that red shade that's right above it. Oh my gosh, I just did it again. I'm gonna take it underneath the eye as well, stopping that same spot, the colored part, and wing it out and connect. I'll go back in a second, like really stamp that up to get it really nice and pigmented. I'm gonna go ahead as well and start working this into my crease. I think I'm taking it more in my natural crease, but obviously you can take it higher. Okay, so I'm just gonna take a couple of seconds, pick up more of the pigment, and really just tap it in to get that strong pigmentation that I always love. Okay, so everything is nice and pigmented. I'm gonna go ahead and pick up the shade Hoodoos. It's like this peachy orange shadow. I love this shade, especially as a blush. Earlier today, it might still be a little bit kind of residual. I wore it as a blush. It's such a pretty one. I'm gonna go in with this kind of blending brush and just go around the edges. This shade is actually one of my favorites for the palette. I feel like it makes every shade blend out so easy. And it's just, again, it's one of those really good shades. Running this under the lash line as well. So I think I'm seeing even on camera that the depth is kind of missing a bit. So I will just go ahead and re-intensify. I'm going to go ahead and lift as well. I'm probably going to take that brush we used a second ago to blend with no product on it and just be really careful to not to blend this shade out. Okay, there we go. So that's nice and blended. And we're like legit almost done with this look. It's literally that easy. So I'm just taking that same shade Hoodoos on the lid. I hope I'm saying that correct. Hoodoos? 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 I think it's Hoodoos. What it means? No clue. I'm sure she said in her video, but I do not remember. Okay, so for shimmer, I'm going to use the two like neutral-esque shades in the palette. So I really like the shade. Oh my god. It feels weird to say this. Come. We come in peace. Come. I feel like it just sounds so, like, dirty. Sorry. It's spelled the regular way. C-O-M-E. It's just, like, a word that you just don't say. You don't just say, oh, you know, we're gonna take the shade come. Because, like, doesn't it just sound wrong? Sorry. Getting off topic. I just thought of that, though, and I'm just like, it doesn't sound right. I'm gonna have to watch. I have not watched anybody else's reviews just to see if they are also children like I am. So I'm using my finger to tap this on. I got a little overlap into another shade. One thing though that I did mention in my first video is I really appreciate that you can pick these up with a brush really easy. Like there is no glitter, glue, nothing. And I really love that. I mainly noticed this recently when I was watching an old Nikki Tutorials video and she was saying how she appreciates like that you can pick up a shadow because she has nails. And I was like, that's like so factually true. So I love that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take the shade Space Dust. God, my camera is like blowing that out too much. This shade is kind of my favorite. Like, look at that. Look how pretty that is. And I'll be honest, the vibe I'm getting, which I could be like totally high, because I don't think I ever owned this palette, but it's reminding me a lot of like an Urban Decay shade from the Naked palette, like back in the day. I don't know, it's just giving like that kind of vibe, and I'm really here for it. I think this is just such an easy, wearable, for me, kind of look. And I'm really, really excited. So yeah, I think that's it for this look. I will just apply some probably liner, stuff like that real quick. And we'll be back to show you it all complete. Okay, so just to be simple, I went ahead and just applied a little bit of mascara. And honestly, I really like this look. I think it's like this side, obviously, she needs to be perfected a bit. But like, you know, whatever, to be completely honest, I am just going to wash this off because I want to film another video after work, so yeah. That's why we also have a little bit of smeared lipstick. I was drinking coffee, and you know, it happens. But I hope that this part was helpful. I think it looks really cool, and it definitely is, like I said, a bit more on that, like, neutral side. Still, it's not going to be completely neutral, but I think that if you have this palette, it kind of gives you some more ideas. Of course, you can really tone it down. I can't help myself. I always love having a lot of depth. But yeah, let's go ahead and roll on into look number 3. And here we are for look number 3. As per my other two looks, I do just have the Milani eyeshadow primer all over my eye. This is actually a look that I had posted to my Instagram, so if it looks similar and you did see that, that is why. But I do not have like a tutorial on it, so I figured it'd be fun to show you all how I completed or did that. I did change it up a little bit just because I wanted to use the yellow shade that I haven't used. I don't really feel you can tell. So to start, I'm just gonna take a pencil brush and dip it in with our black shade, which is Eclipse. I'm just gonna start running that along the bottom lash line, kind of my normal. I'm stopping right where that colored part of my eye is. I have been really loving to use black in my looks lately. Like, I feel like I always do, but I feel like it really just adds like a nice intensity. Same thing, so I'm going to place my brush where that colored part is and pull back, and then usually creating a line, and then kind of just filling in that shape. And then I'm going to dip in with the shade Peace. I'm just taking this longish type of pencil brush, and I'm basically just going to go around the shape of the black. I mainly use the black to like intensify the spread, and then I'm thinking I'm going to take the red underneath my eye, just that colored part. And then I'm just going to take this probably into the crease, probably kind of that same distance as we did like on the bottom lash line. So I'm going to stop where that colored part of my eye is. And then I'm just going to take a little bit here, just to also help that to soften. And then originally I was going to take Hoodoo's. I feel like I've used it a lot. I'm going to go ahead and take Soul. But if you want to, definitely use Hoodoo's. I do feel like it blends out this like red shade a bit better. But I just want to make sure I'm like trying to use every shade of the palette if I can. So I'm going to run Soul first along the bottom lash line in the front. I feel like this can definitely be built up to be a pretty bright yellow, but it's not like, I don't know if you can tell, it's not overpowering. I'm going to cover the entire front part of my eye. I'm not really going onto my eyelid because the shimmers will be going on there as well. And then I'm just going to take my time going around the edges to blend this. Now I will say this shade does not want to blend very easily with this red shade. I might take a little bit of Hoodoo's in between just to help it to blend easier. Okay, so this is where we're at right now. I did end up taking a little bit of that Hoodoo shade in between two shades just to help it to blend a little bit, but I still like it. I think it adds like a nice brightness to the look, so that's really nice. I'm gonna go ahead and take our shade Believe, which is this blue. I'm gonna use my finger for right now, and I'm just taking the shade covering the colored part of my eye. But you can just see, hopefully by the shimmer, this is seriously such a pretty shade. It has a lot of nice sparkle. So I will be dipping in with a brush for my other two shades. So I'm going to go ahead and take Encounter and cover the front part of the eyelid. I am going to also take it kind of where like that bone structure is. And then I'm going to flip my brush over and dip in with a little bit of Beam, and we're just going to tap that between the two shades. I don't feel like it's like adding a lot. You know what, let's use my finger. When I first like had did this look, I feel like it added this like cool greeny effect. Maybe you need your finger for this shade. Like you don't, but I feel like to get the effect. And then I usually like to blend out my shimmers a bit, so I'm just going to take a fluffy brush, just soften everything out, make it look a bit more seamless. And then I forgot to say, but I'm also going to go ahead and just take our same shimmers and apply it to the lower lash line. Okay, so I'm going to I'm going to line my eyes real quick with just some of the NYX pencil liquid liner, and we'll be right back. So here we are for the end of look number 3. I think it turned out really pretty, really fun. I really enjoyed just kind of challenging myself to throw in some like random colors that I do not think would normally go together, but did turn out really good. So I'm super obsessed. I do think this might be like my favorite look, but there are definitely some really fun looks you can get from this palette. So let's go ahead, jump into my final review of this palette. I'm just gonna say it. I think this palette is super nice, really good quality. I really do like this palette. I think it is super duper fun, and I'm excited to continue to play with this palette. So definitely make sure to subscribe if you want to see more looks. I think that is going to be it for me today. Definitely let me know down below what you think of this palette. I think it's a really good one. I am actually really impressed with Singe Beauty, and I'm excited to see what they come out with next. Have a great rest of your day. Make sure to subscribe if you'd like to, and I will see you on my next one. Okay, bye.